Right then, let's look at the player ratings for that. I'm a bit torn here between trying to like, does everyone just get a 10? Or do you try and do it like with a little bit of semblance of like reality? And I've tried to do it with a little bit of semblance of reality. I'm sure some people are going to disagree. That's showbiz, baby. Let's get into it then. Player ratings, Manchester United against Barnsley. And I want yours as well. Because like I said, football's all about opinions. And sometimes you can disagree, but we don't need to fall out. Okay? So let's start with Bayindir in net. Now, he had a very quiet night in goal. Barnsley failing to register a shot on target makes it quite problematic to really rate a goalkeeper when he's had genuinely nothing to do. His distribution was solid, 88% pass completion, but despite having little to do, him sweeping nice and high did help prevent any defensive breakdowns. A bit of an asset in that sense, so 7 out of 10. I can't really give him more or less than that, can I? 7 out of 10, I think, for him. In the defence, Delo, I'm going to say Delo 7.5 out of 10. 68 touches, 93% pass completion, 57 out of 61, 4 out of 4 long balls, 1 key pass. Usual reliable self at right back, contributed very heavily to United's ball progression, kept possession ticking over, very high and a very quality sort of distribution from him, and kept Barnsley's attack quiet with pretty good positioning when it was required of him. So I think a 7.5 out of 10. Harry Maguire, it's a 7 out of 10, right? He was solid. He was commanding in the air. He was good on the ground. 7 clearances, 4 tackles. He did keep Barnsley at bay. Do you know what? He's getting a 7.5 as well, actually. He's getting a 7.5 as well. The passing from the back was decent, 88% pass completion. We've seen a little bit more from the likes of De Ligt and Martinez lately. But it was decent, so 7.5. You know, if you as a centre half have allowed 0 shots on target against your goal, you're worth a 7.5, I think. So that obviously goes for Johnny Evans as well. Johnny Evans, similar sort of passing stats. 54 passes attempted, 47 completed, 87%. So like I said, very similar to Maguire's. 4 clearances, 3 out of 4 of his duels won, 1 interception. Again, composed. Helped out Collier a little bit as well. Real solid positioning. His passing was steady, and he helped United building out nice. So again, didn't allow a shot on goal on target. It's got to be a 7.5. Toby Collier, 8 clearances, 4 tackles, 5 out of 5 aerial duels. He was targeted, and he was playing an unfamiliar role. But I think he showed his ability in the defensive duels. There's a real sort of inherent trait in Toby, that's like a good engine in him. He did well in the air, obviously winning all those aerial battles. He did struggle at times with positioning, but I think he gets a pass for that. He's playing out of position, and he's playing first-team football at Old Trafford. And you think what he's been thrown into lately, I think he's been really, really solid. And I think that this is the sort of origin story of a real useful player. Might only be a squad player. Might only go and sort of replicate what McTominay has done as a first-team player, you know, a few hundred games or whatever. But very, very useful having players like that within the squad. So it's a 7 out of 10 for me. The kid gets thrown on for 45 minutes in central midfield against Liverpool and does fine. And then he comes and gets a start at left back and does fine. And they obviously targeted him as well. These are real character building sort of cameos that we're seeing here from him. So excited to see where it'll take him. I think he's got to get a 7, I think, for the way he was targeted and how he dealt with it. Into midfield then. Casemiro, 109 touches, 79 out of 90 passes, 88%, 7 out of 8 long balls, 6 clearances, 1 tackle. As a captain, he controlled the game in midfield. He was good both offensively and defensively. Obviously, a clever back heel in the build-up to Rashford's goal, probably the standout moment. But he was also key in sort of breaking up and preventing the rare attacking sort of darts that Barnsley did occasionally threaten with. I thought it was a real mature performance from Casemiro. And I mentioned to Jay on my review on the fan channel last night, there was a possibility you could see Casemiro spit his dummy out with being dropped at the weekend. Oh, now you play in the EFL, like, all of those sorts of things. But I think him giving the armband or getting the armband and putting in a very, very mature performance in the manner he did shows that he's got a good working relationship with Erik ten Hag. And I think him and Eriksen will probably feature at different parts, I would think, across the course of the season, and have a bit to say and a bit to a bit of a hand in how this season goes. But 8 out of 10 performance, I think, from Casemiro. Manuel Ugarte. I've said this on 5 things. I've said this on the review. Match fitness is important. And it was his first start for United. He's shown glimpses of his potential. Was overcommitted in defence at times. I think he probably watched some sort of documentary on English football and just thought, I need to smash people. He did show promise, certainly in a physical side. But you wouldn't want to see too many more of those performances. I think he's going to settle in. There's a presence about him. There's an aura almost about him. There's something about him I really, really like. And I'm sure he'll be fine once he gets to match fitness. But it was a 6 out of 10 performance, I thought, from Ugarte last night. Christian Eriksen, 96% pass completion, 53 out of 55 passes, 2 key passes, 4 out of 4 accurate long balls, 2 successful dribbles. He was man of the match. He controlled the game, flawless passing display, showing an absolute range, showing an ability to control the tempo, and 2 late goals in the match. How is Christian Eriksen box to box in it in the 90th minute in 2024? But he was very instrumental in United's dominance. He's shown top draw technique on display all last night. And I think he's going to have a big, big say in where all of this kind of lays out this season. I think he'll feature a lot. 9 out of 10. Up front, and not quite as obviously straightforward, Anthony. So Anthony had 81 touches. His passing was good, 53 out of 59, but you're not really asked if your forwards have got fantastic passing. It's not really about that. He had 1 key pass, a couple of successful dribbles. He wins a penalty. He converts the penalty, but it was a bit mixed, wasn't it? He was still... I said on the review, I think he's singing off a different hymn sheet. A little bit inconsistent with the end product. Didn't really create a lot from open play. He had fairly significant involvement, but it just wasn't really ticking for him, was it? 6.5 out of 10, I think. Marcus. 3 out of 5 dribbles. 1 big chance created. 1 key pass. 2 goals. Very, very confident display from Marcus. It was obviously the focal point of the attack. So, again, wasn't involved in passing. And certainly you're not looking for Marcus to be a link player when he's the last man. So only 10 out of 16 passes, which is a low percentage and a low number of passes. But the output was there. He constantly threatened Barnsley's defence with movement. Took his 2 goals fantastically. It was a very clinical performance from Marcus. So... he gets a 9 out of 10. Not quite man of the match. I think he wasn't quite as good as Eriksen, but certainly worth a high score and a high rating. Garnacho. Great passing, actually. 28 out of 34. 2 goals, 3 key passes, 3 out of 3 long balls. His pace and directness are an absolute nightmare at times, and they were a nightmare for Barnsley's defence. The 2 goals he took, really well taken. Sets Rashford up for another confident performance, but there's still like a rawness to how he plays. Missed a good chance to get his hat-trick. I think he's a 9 out of 10 performance as well from Garnacho. I don't think you could give him any less than that with just how productive he was. In terms of the subs, I'm only going to do... I'm not going to do De Ligt or Diallo. I think... we'll just stick with the 3 that got like half an hour or so. So Bruno Fernandes, 33 touches, 25 out of 30 passes, 83%, 6 key passes in 30 minutes, 1 big chance created. Came off the bench and started to kind of orchestrate play a little bit, sets up Eriksen's late winner. Sharp, creative, further asserting a bit of control from United, and maybe even stepped up the intensity for us a little bit. 7.5 out of 10. Joshua Zirkzee, didn't have a hell of a lot of impact, I would say, but again, worked hard to create space. Link play good again. 1 shot off target, 6 out of 6 of his passes, 12 touches, solid, unspectacular, 6.5 out of 10. Mazraoui, I'm saying the same thing about Mazraoui all the time. 31 out of 34 passes. He's just a good footballer, isn't he? Didn't really have a lot to do. Kept it ticking in possession. Unspectacular, sort of. Nothing happened, but it was fine kind of performance from Mazraoui. 6.5 out of 10. And in terms of the gaffer, I'm going to say 8.5, right? Because I think the gaffer here has got a game you will win if you don't completely balls it up, and a game you must win, or you're in the shit. So he's almost like between a rock and a hard place here, because you expect to win, and when you do win, you don't really get any credit for it. I think he should and will get a little bit of credit for it being 7-0. Ten Hag has not rotated properly before. Whether that was by decision or circumstance, he's not really rotated before. So to see such heavy rotation and moving people out of position, like Toby Collier at left back, to accommodate the rotations, I think he has to be given a lot of credit because of the dominance of the performance. There's always a caveat, unfortunately. And the caveat in this instance is that Manchester United have to beat Crystal Palace at the weekend. But if we beat Crystal Palace at the weekend, especially if it's a clean sheet again, I think Manchester United fans are allowed, and certainly I'm going to be, so if you don't like it, unlucky, we're going to be very happy with the progress that we are making this season. So very, very happy with that performance, very enjoyable performance. And, for all of the times that United have really stunk the place out when we've had lower level opposition, for once we don't. We actually do the job we're meant to do. We put them away with ease. We look great doing it. Everyone's got a smile on their face. I'm unapologetically happy with that. Are you happy about beating Barnsley? Yeah, I am. And what? 7-0 is a fantastic result, regardless of the level of the opposition. It's absolutely mega. Well done, lads. Well done, Gaffer. Let's hope we can do something similar. I'll take 1-0 in all honesty, but let's hope we can do something similar against Crystal Palace, because that is a big old game. Give us your thoughts in the comments below. If you didn't check it out already, go and check out Howson IRL. I uploaded a video this morning where I do the Stairmaster for 30 consecutive days and see what impact it has on my fitness. So if you're interested in that sort of shit, I'll put the link in the description. Go check it out. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.